Welcome back into another episode of Between Eers. I'm Schuyler, Callihan. That is Christopher Hall. It is the final game of the home schedule for the West Virginia Mountaineers as they take on UCF on Saturday at 3:30 on ESPNU. UCF, my goodness, 6 of 7. They've lost. West Virginia, on the other hand, they've lost 4 of their 6 home games. So something's got to give here. There's really not much to really dive into in terms of what this game really means outside of both teams just hoping to get bowl eligible. UCF with another loss, they would be done. They'd stick a fork in them. West Virginia, on the other hand, they have 2 chances to get to a bowl game. But let's start with this, Chris. Before we get into UCF, we kind of talked about it earlier in the week, or maybe it was sometime last week. I can't even remember now. My days are all mixed up. But we talked about the Garrett Green, Nico Markell situation. Garrett Green got the start last week. He played, in my opinion, I thought he played well enough to win. Anytime he scored 35 points, there should be plenty enough. There was a lot of drops by the receivers. Yes, he had the interception. I think you could argue that's 50-50 on Garrett Green and on the receiver on that play. But he did make some bad decisions, but he also made up for it with, obviously, his legs. Went for over 120 yards. I don't think there's any question that he's going to be starting this week. It's senior day. But if the Mountaineers fail to win this week, does that open up any sort of possibility that Nico starts in Lubbock? I don't think so. I think it's Garrett Green's job for the rest of the season, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's Green's job for the rest of the year. I haven't been,
Blown away?
yeah, I still think about, Neil Brown and his campaign of preseason talking about Garrett Green was a top 100 player. Well, he probably did look like a top 100 player against that West Virginia defense. Those receivers probably looked pretty good against those corners. So I'm trying to grade that on a curve, but Garrett Green, probably. I know you've kind of said I've been hard on him at times here, but yeah, he's looked like a below average quarterback. Regardless of how bad the defense has played, that third quarter was atrocious. I mean, his play, he was under 50% passing. Like, yeah, there was some drops, but that should have put you at 50% passing because a lot of the passes to Cole Taylor in that game were at his feet.
Yeah.
So
And the
that
one,
it's not that
which one
he's.
did he overthrow in the end zone where he could have? He rolled to the right and it was on the hospital end. He should have just kept it and ran it himself. Instead, he threw it the back corner of the end zone and overthrew whoever it was.
I think it was Hudson. I
Yeah, I mean,
believe it was Hudson.
if he runs, he probably scores or gets close to it.
They ended
It's
up
just
scoring. That was
the
right
little decisions.
before halftime, and he ended up running the second time. Didn't get in. They ended up getting it in. So yeah, he ended up making up for it. But yeah, his decision late making has just been late. Whether it's throwing, running,
Well, I mean, and the same
it's just
thing.
everything.
The one ball, I think it was earlier in the game. It may have been the first half where Jaheim. It was around midfield. Jaheim kind of slid out of the backfield. And it was almost like a little wheel route.
It was first half. Yep,
Yeah,
that
and
was like the second drive.
yeah, and he started to roll left, and he tried to make the throw and overthrew it. Instead, he should have just kept it there too and ran it.
Well,
But
Jaheim was open. He just makes a throw,
well,
and
that
it's
yeah,
touchdown.
yeah, he just puts it way too far to his head.
The thing is, it's not even been some of it's his decision making, but some of it he's just been so inaccurate. And we talked about so much going last year and going into the season that he had to fix his layup throws, and he fixed those. But there's still so many other throws that he hasn't been able to make. And yes, while running, and throwing across your body is a tough throw. They're not even close. You're not even giving your guy a chance to make the play. So yeah, I just think it's been a very bad season for him, and you could really go into a lot of different reasons why. Receivers quit on routes when they're done, and when he's scrambling around, they don't know where to break. Either they don't know or they're just not doing it. One or the other, because they should be breaking for the end zone, breaking somewhere to get away from the defenders. A lot of times the receivers are clumped together. Why? So there's a lot really with that offense right now. Doesn't seem like, yeah, Garrett Green kind of is a dog. He's the leader of it, but you don't really have that. Like, there's really no fight anywhere with this group. Like, there's not drawing a line in the sand. There's just like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go down and score. There's just really don't have that sense with this team right now. And maybe by game 11, you'll get it, but they kind of are who they are. And if it's not working, it just seems like they all kind of fold. And you saw it defense last week when they got that pass interference penalty. Yes, it was an atrocious call. I will say that was a terrible call, but you still have to go and play. Like bad calls happen week in, week out. We see it.
Got to move on.
You just got to you stopped them, do it again. And they just let him walk right into the end zone. And it was pretty much over from that point. And you could say, they were saying that Traylon Ray's injury was, really deflated the team. Well, that can't happen. Like injuries happen. Can't follow that up with injuries happen. We saw it last year with Trey Lathan. Like it happened. They fought through it. Aubrey Burks, that happened to Aubrey Burks in the same game. They fought through it, found a way to win. So to me, there hasn't been enough fight in this team. There hasn't been a lot of execution with this team. And, I'll repeat it. A lot of these guys are just in their second year playing. And that's not going to get, you know, yes, there's a lot of sophomores that make plays. There's a lot of redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores that are making plays. But a lot of these kids that you're relying on weren't top recruits. James White, yes, but, to say he's a disappointment is probably fair. And some of that may be on the offensive line, but there's just like you can point to each player and say like, what happened? Like, why isn't there consistency? And maybe it's just a lack of experience. Maybe they're just not that good. There's just a lot. To me, there's just a lot of problems within every position group on this team.
There, speaking of something he's got to give, it feels like distractions have at least been at home, have just been very problematic for this team. Whether it was the build up for the Penn State game and you fall flat, whether it was the build up for the Coal Rush game and you fall flat, or the bounce back opportunity against Kansas State and you fall flat. And then it was, I would even say last week. I know last week wasn't a, big time national stage game, but it was a must win situation to be able to stay in the race. So there was some hype around that, at least internally in the state, and you put up the performance you did defensively. And and now you have the distraction of senior day. So if history tells you anything, they're not going to handle this well, and UCF will win this game. However, West Virginia has this season beat the teams they should beat and lost to the teams that they should have lost to for the most part. I think that's fair to say. And UCF's coming in again. I already mentioned it. They've lost 6 of their last 7. They're 4-6. 2 of their 4 wins are against New Hampshire and Sam Houston. Sam Houston, a new FBS team. New Hampshire's down in the FCS level. So they haven't really shown a whole lot this year. And when I look at this matchup, like I think it favors West Virginia a lot. I don't know what the sports books are seeing or the computers at ESPN are seeing, because UCF is a team that's going to run the ball 800 times. They're going to be stubborn about it. They don't care if West Virginia is one of the worst pass defenses in the country. Gus Malzahn will continue to run the football over and over and over again. And West Virginia's been okay against the run. Now, you go back to Kansas earlier in the year, and I think that's kind of a fair comp for this team. And Kansas got their yardage, right? They got their yardage on the ground, but it took them a long time to get there because they were just running it 40, 50 times. And they really didn't do a whole lot to complement that in the passing game. I think that'll be a similar situation here, but I think offensively you can do enough to win this game. I don't know. I just think the matchup favors West Virginia, but again, you have something's got to give here. Distractions or, the fact that you beat the teams you beat and you lose the teams you lose to. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, West Virginia, if you look at just the conference stats, West Virginia is second in the league, allowing 126 yards. First in the league is Kansas State. They're allowing 109 yards on the ground. So, yeah, UCF, more than likely, with Malzahn, will try to be stubborn and say that they can run the ball. Baylor last week had success running the ball. I mean, they gashed him for a
Yeah.
51-yard run. So, to me, it just goes back to when things aren't going well defensively, they hang their heads. And it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Now you can say third quarter they did. Look, Reed Carrico came in and say, "Look, we got to play better." They played better in the third quarter. And that goes back to not playing complementary football, and then they can't finish a drive. So the defense gave you an opportunity to get back and get the lead and take control of the game, and the offense sputtered. So if it's not one thing, it's the other. So you can't
Yeah.
like there's no consistency offense. There's no consistency defense. There's been very little consistency in special teams. I think the return game has been good. Um, but outside of that, like it's just the same thing every week. And like like you said, UCF's probably going to be stubborn, try to run the ball. It'll keep West Virginia in the game, and then it's going to come down to who's not going to make a mistake. And with these two teams, that's a coin flip. So I think at this point in time, I mean, obviously West Virginia fans are beyond frustrated at this point in time. Um, but yeah, I just don't, you know, it's supposed to be the keys to the game. So I'll start with the first one. Let's not let receivers run right by you right down the field. That could be the first key to the game. Let's start there.
Sounds like a good
Um,
thing.
Second key to the game: don't let a slow-footed quarterback or any player that's not that fast juke you out of your shoes in the middle of the defense. Like seen it all year, starting with Drew Alar at Penn State. One move and they're completely catching air at that
Or they
point in
have him
time.
dead to rights and they still can't bring him to the ground.
Right. Sorsby against Cincinnati did it multiple times. One
Holstein.
move, one step, and they're hugging air. So don't expect too much to change. It's really a matter of can they take care of the ball. Even when they take care of the ball, sometimes it's just the offense is so bad and inept that doesn't matter. They had a chance for an interception last week, dropped it. That's exactly what
Same
we
story
saw
all year.
prior to that since Cincinnati. Did they drop one in Cincinnati too? Um, yeah, and what's
Yeah,
weird
I
is
believe
it's not
they
like they
did.
don't work on interceptions in practice. I've seen them work the jug machines. I've seen them take receiving, like go and do receiving drills so they can be better at it. But for whatever reason, they can never seem to haul it in. So I think that's my only key to the game. If they cannot allow a receiver, just if a corner cannot just stand there squared up and watch a receiver look at run right by him without waiting to break on that receiver when he's already passed him by 3 yards, that's a win in my book. If they can just at least wait till they get there, they're still going to get beat because you're still too late. But that's 3 yards earlier than you normally do. So that'd be hope moving forward to Texas Tech because at this point, going into Texas Tech, we always say, well, the wind's going to be a factor. Well, hopefully it's windy as hell, so they can throw the ball. So you can just hopefully you win the battle in the trenches. But
What's the
everything's so
forecast?
bad to me right now. This weekend is
Is
low
it still
40s.
snow?
Now I don't know where they got the snow from, but they have a better weather system around the stadiums than you get on your app because it's right there direct. But I think the snow's, if anything, it's early morning. I think it's supposed to be in the 40s, but it's not going to be anything that.
Yeah, I got it pulled up
If
here.
anyone's familiar with Morgantown weather, it changes every day. So it'll say it'll rain, then we'll get there Saturday and it'll be all sunshine. So if it rains, I mean, I don't think any weather favors West Virginia. It's because they do everything. Made the same mistakes all season long. So to me, if it's wet, they've already struggled tackling. So now the team's just going to be slippery, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like, and that really
I
to me
think
it goes
it's
back to where's the fight in this group? Like, there's just to me, Trotter is to me, and you got T.J. Jackson are your best two defensive players, and you see fighting those guys, but it's really not resonating with the rest of the group. Um, Trey Lathan, he you can tell he's still battling that injury. Not battling the injury, but it really hasn't clicked for him this year. Carrick has been a nice addition. I think that's someone that the team can rally behind too. But you're so late in the year that you're finding some of these guys. I think with this group defensively, and I think what a lot of fans are missing is first the hard hitting. And yes, I know rules have changed, but you can still be physical within this new rules. And you're not seeing the physicality with this group. And again, you're not seeing it in the fight. Things get
yeah.
down, they're not punching back. Like when they give you your best punch, you got to punch back. And I thought that had a lot to do with the play calling. And we talked about it on Sunday morning, but it's where was the blitzing? Like they were living and dying by it at Cincinnati, but they didn't do it this week, last week against Baylor. And yes, the short passing game can kind of negate that, but at the same time, if you're putting pressure in their face, it'll alter those passes, and you can knock those passes down. So there's got. I understand Jeff Kuntz is put in a bad situation. The same personnel is getting beat on the same situations. Even Neil Brown said it. Like they were in cover three, and they get a seam pass down to me. Like, how does that happen? How does that happen? Um, Again, credit to Baylor on some of that because those short passes kind of kept pulling them up. But that's just the story of the defense. They're either dropping too far back or they're not where they're supposed to be. And it's just constant, constant, constant. And yes, they got Beanie Bishops, and yes, they had Charles Woods. Those guys were hits in the portal. Laws of average telling you they're not going to do that every year. And man, did it just hurt one game after another, after another, after another.
I think it's so funny though when we make that huge deal about like, oh, a Florida team coming up to West Virginia and there might be snow in the forecast. Like, I mean, how much of a like does it really change? Because I mean, how much of your roster is actually from West Virginia or from cold weather area? A lot of this
You still
team
get used to
south.
it practicing in it.
I mean,
There is a
but
difference, but it's not going to be cold enough to where they're really going to feel it because Miami back in the day you could see that it bothered them, and it might
I
bother
mean,
Central
it's
Florida
not
a little
like
bit,
it's.
but
I mean, especially now, like in 2024, like it snows very, very little.
it's not the
It's not like they
deciding
played
factor.
in multiple snow games before and they have an advantage and they know how to
I
work
mean,
around it.
these teams are so close and how I guess bad they are that yeah, any little factor can help. It can't, it can't hurt at this point. Just give
No,
them something.
if I'm Jeff Kuntz, I think my number one key is just. I mean, it sounds super super obvious, so I don't want to sound like
All
I'm.
out blitz because your corners are going to
Yeah,
get beat no matter what. Get
exactly.
zone
It
or
doesn't
man.
matter anyway. So why
Send
not just
everybody.
load up the box, throw 10 guys in there and just keep Anthony Wilson back deep and just
See
in
what
case
happens.
they decide to throw the ball. Because I'm telling you,
See what
I've watched
happens.
UCF probably 3 times this year, and I've watched them a couple times last year too. Every time I have them on, obvious passing situations, Gus Malzahn will still run the football. Like it just blows my mind in certain situations where they need to throw it, have to throw it, got to get it, and they still run the ball. That
This will
is
be the
Gus
week. This will
Malzahn to a
be
T.
this will be the week they spread them out and throw it all over the field, right?
Hey,
They
and
were smart.
if so, hats off to you. Like I mean,
They were smart.
I don't know, but if I'm Jeff Kuntz, I'm just loading that sucker up. Don't let R.J. Harvey and all those other guys beat you. If they throw for 300 on you, I mean,
It was
whatever.
going to happen regardless.
I mean, it might happen. I mean, if the kid from Albany can throw for 300 on you, I think UCF's got a quarterback capable of doing the same thing. Now I know they've played what 3 quarterbacks now. The guy KJ Jefferson's not really in the mix anymore, but they've got 2 other guys that they've been going back and forth with. I don't know who we're going to see. They probably both play. But offensively, where do we go? I mean, you don't have Traylon Ray anymore. Hudson Clement's been kind of banged up. Jaden Bray, who was expected to come back, he's not probably going to play this week now. He had suffered a setback earlier this week at practice. I mean, the pass game's not been good all year. But when you lose a player like Traylon Ray, that certainly hurts that aspect of it. So, I mean, what is the number one thing you've got to find against this UCF defense to find a way to win?
Cole Taylor's big 6'7" frame
Yeah.
won't throw it at his feet. He's the most targeted receiver on the team.
That
You
pass we
think that?
talked about the Jaheen that was like the height of what it should be to Cole Taylor.
Yeah. Find Cole Taylor. He's the most targeted player on the team. He's always open. He's 6'7". No one can guard him. You just got to get it there on time. It's You've thrown it to him enough. You should be able to hit him at this point. But we were at game 10 last week and throwing at his feet. So I have no answers for that. Like there's hit your guy.
Yeah.
It's there. Preston, I'd like to see a little more from Justin. Justin, he's open a lot too. He had an unfortunate drop last week. Kind
You know the
of
thing about
on
him I don't understand is like they keep saying, well, he's got to get better off the ball. You're in, like we've said 4 times in the last 2 minutes, you're in game 11 now. Like, does it matter if he's that good off the ball? If he's going to catch the ball and make a play for you, just throw him the damn ball. Like, why does he have
right.
to be in this all around complete receiver?
It's there's Green's just so late. Like he doesn't throw it out of their break. And I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks. It's college football, right? Like this isn't the NFL. It's these guys aren't professionals. Yes, they're getting paid. paid kind of makes them professional, but not
But
they
they're
don't
still
nearly have the
kids.
time. They're still learning, but the thing is, like, I don't know if it's not a trust or if you just don't know the timing of it. And of course, defenses can throw off the timing, but at the end of the day, when you're waiting already to throw it when they're well out of their break, it's too late. Safety's going to come over, a linebacker's going to come over. You're going to get your receivers are going to get hit. Like at some point, you have to have some trust and get it there on time when they're breaking over the middle, and it just hasn't been there. So it gives the DBs way too much time to recover, and you're seeing a lot of that, and it's forcing these guys to make that tough catches all the time.
Yeah.
So it's going to be this a lot of the same. Like it's not going to be fixed in week one. So Gene White's got to do something. CJ Donaldson's got to do something. Like they need big runs. They need a big 40, 30-yard touchdown run. Like CJ Donaldson had that last week. You can argue that Baylor left them score after that onside kick, so they could go down and score again. But it's just to me, it's just everything about this team is frustrating. And I think that can resonate with anybody, any West Virginia fan at this point, because there's not one position group that you can sit there and hang your hat on right now and say they've performed at a high level outside of
Last
Cole
year you
Taylor.
had multiple. I mean, the running backs, the
Yeah,
O line, like
outside of Cole Taylor. And it's going to be another year where they don't have 1,000-yard receiver. Another season without 1,000-yard receiver.
0 for 6 under Neal.
It's incredible. Not since the Rich Rod era, Bill Stewart era, where they just heavily ran the ball. Have you seen it run like this? So yeah, I mean that's kind of why they went to Dana because they had to throw it around in the Big 12. But at the same time, this is I know football shades not to throw it around everywhere like it was when Dana was here, but there's plenty of 1,000-yard receivers. You have 12 games, and you're not getting that production from receivers. And there's a quarterback receiver play like it's just all in a mix, and this offense has been really inconsistent, and you're just not finding the stars that you were hoping to be stars aren't
Have not
stars.
been stars.
They have not
And
played like
nobody else has
stars.
stepped up to become one. That's
No,
even more troublesome.
that's even more of a problem. So, yeah, find Cole Taylor, find him, hit him on time, and that dude had a quarterback that could hit his 6'7" frame, which I think there could be a lot of people out there could do that. He would probably be 1,000-yard receiver because he gets targeted over 10 times every game.
What I was thinking the other day was like, man, you look at Justin Robinson and his frame, his skill set. You look at Cole Taylor and his frame, his skill set, and I'm just thinking like, wow, like imagine those two types of bodies in a Dana Holgerson offense. The numbers that they would put.
Hudson Clement, I
Oh
mean,
my goodness,
credit to
Rodney
him.
Gallagher, even like he's a jack of all trades. He can do a lot of different things. He's not a polished receiver,
Yeah,
but Dana would
and we
find a
need
way to get
right
him some
this
yardage.
season. They need to retire the jet sweep with Rodney Gallagher.
Oh my
It is
gosh,
not working.
yes.
It's just not
And
working.
and it gets them in the second and nines and third and eights, and it's just it doesn't do anything. And that's why they keep getting behind the sticks. Is like they do all this east to west action. I don't know, and they still to this day I don't know why run CJ outside, Jaheim up the inside in between the tackles. They don't use CJ Donaldson
Because
throughout the
when
entirety of
things
a
aren't
game.
working, because when things aren't working the way they're supposed to do, you outthink yourself. It's
Yeah,
something else that you see everywhere in college football. You see in the NFL. You're like, why are you running this play? You just had success on this play 5 straight times, and you went away from it. Like, why? Because they're playing chess in their head with themselves, and that's what ends up happening.
more often than not,
And
you lose.
right, I mean, that's really been Brown's tenure. Like things haven't worked, so they try to get creative, and that doesn't work. And you try to go back to what was working, and it's still not working. It doesn't work anymore. So then you're just out
Nothing
of options.
works.
Nothing works. It's really, I mean, it's a lot. It's a variety of reasons. At the end of the day, he's got to find ways for these guys to be successful, but they're just not successful.
Yep.
And a lot of that hinges on the quarterback and his decision making, whether it's in the run game, obviously in the pass game. It's just been bad. It's not been average. To me, it's not been average. It's been below average. Stats tell you that.
Last thing before you out of here, I mentioned it post game Saturday after the or Sunday morning show on Sunday. but now I'm going to make it like a little prop bet here. Over under West Virginia scores more or less than 3 points in the third quarter. The
They'll
third
get shut
quarter,
out. They'll get
I
shut
guess
out again.
for context here, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, because I act like
No,
everyone
because that will
knows.
be the top. West Virginia will more than likely stop the run game. UCF will make adjustments, hold the ball for most of the third quarter, and they'll go 3-and-out offensively, and UCF will hold the ball the rest of the way. More than likely.
So you're going under.
It's all a shutout, 100%.
Okay.
The trend is what it is.
So for those again that need some context to this, last 4 games, grand total, 3 points. Last 4 games at home, I should say, 3 points total in the third quarter. It's under a point per quarter. That's just ridiculous. Teams are solving this offense out. Neil Brown's not finding any adjustments or any answers to the adjustments. It's not good. Not good football at all.
Did you give one key to the game? Did you give one key to the game? Is
Yes,
it
I
score?
did.
Is it score?
I just
Is it
said
score in the
send
third
everybody.
quarter?
Send everybody. Put 10 guys in the box.
That's not a
That's
key
my
to the
all.
game.
Yeah.
Score more than a field goal in the third quarter. We'll take two
I'll
field
be
goals.
like the fans that throw these comments in on our page here or on Facebook and just say score more than the other team.
Yeah,
That's
score
kind
more
of
than
where
the
I'm
other
at
team.
this point. I'm
They
burnt
have
out.
not done that. They have not done that so far this year.
Yeah,
Very much, very
not very
often.
often. But I'm burnt out. I'm tired. My brain's not working like it used to, and that's where I'm at right
And it
now.
didn't
It's
work at
just
a high level before either. So
it did not. It was not a great efficiency level. I'm up and down. I'm inconsistent like West Virginia
you
football
need to
is.
start making adjustments.
I do. I do. So we'll see if my adjustments can be made next week and maybe give you some better keys of the game when they go
Oh
to
no,
play
I'm
Texas
sticking
Tech.
with my
But
keys. I guarantee my keys are the game next week will be the same. Don't let a receiver run by you and decide to start chasing him 3 yards down the field. And he's faster than you, so he's going to be 10 yards down the field by the time
that
he
would
gets there.
be the plan. That would be ideal.
Copy paste that. That's my key to the game next week.
Control. What's the shortcut? Control.
P maybe I don't
Control P.
remember. Or Control C, Control P. Oh, Control P's print. Who knows? Just
Yeah.
start mashing all the buttons. Something will happen.
That's what works for me. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for us here today. We got to get out of here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button here on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. Follow us on X at SI_WVU. Tomorrow, we will have the Walkthrough Game Day show with Eugene Napoleon previewing this matchup in greater detail, which I'll probably let Gene just spew a lot of his thoughts because, again, I'm tired, I'm malfunctioning, and Eugene probably has a lot more interesting things to say about this game anyways, and probably will provide a sense of optimism as he usually does. So we'll let him do his thing, but we'll be back here tomorrow for the Walkthrough Game Day show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you back here tomorrow.